Morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. One more time, just for good luck. Good morning, neighbors. Good morning to you. Joining us as we stream video. Good morning to you. Of course, thank you so much for joining us on the Paul Breakfast Show and Paul 102 Digital. Getting straight into the WTs one time before I bring the guys in. Traffic-wise, let's see just a bit of volume from Trin City towards Paget and towards you. You got some traffic slow going from Charlieville towards Interchange, and you're going to pick up some traffic as you get by Swim Call. All right, heading into Port of Spain. Apart from that, I got nothing to tell you about. No, nothing. Rivulet Road, nothing. All right. Checking weather, see what's happening for today on this, the 20th day of June. Good morning to you. Of course, what they're saying at the Met Office, fair to partly cloudy with showers over a few areas. There's a low to medium 30 to 40% chance that isolated showers can become heavy and or thundery during the afternoon. Mostly settled evening despite the lingering shower. In the event of heavy showers and downpours, thunderstorms, gusty winds, and street flash flooding. Okay. Right. Forecast maximum temperature for Trinidad will be 32, 31 in Crown Point. And checking some temps across our listenership. It is 23 degrees in both our Twin Island Republic. Toronto, you're cloudy at 18. Miami, clear and 24. Orlando, clear and 22. New York, you got a little cloud and 17. Atlanta, partly cloudy and 21. London, 21, mostly cloudy. Tampa, mostly cloudy as well. And 26, 21 in Washington, D.C. And you've got a little drizzle there. And quickly, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning via our mobile app on our website at paul102fm.com. Ray, first off the gate this morning. Good morning to you, Ray. Maria Marva, Trev and Arima, Garcilian Valencia, DJ Ray, still in Delaware. You moved or what, DJ Ray from Tampa? Miss Ingrid out in Tucson, Arizona. Good morning. Oliver Man Warren, Rena Boodoo Jennings, D.P. Dennis. He says, good morning or the morning after Labor Day. Ms. Maloney Doodoo, good morning. DX, and he's blank. Mo Gaines, good morning to you. And Ruben and Avi and Carol Guevara Wagwan, of course, on the show. Yes, Ruben, he's there. Wendell Stephen, he'll join us. Richard Raghubarasingh, he'll join us. Paul Richards is standing by. I don't know what kind of grumpy face that is that I look at him. My name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company until 9 o'clock this morning. On YouTube, Dwayne Sylvester, good morning. Mike Rock, Ray again on YouTube. Good morning. Guy Small out in New York. Dancing Queen. Morning all. Thank you so much, Dancing Queen. Should I sing it again? No? Okay. Edwin Marshall. Marcia Rock. He related to Marcia Rock. Good morning. Oh, it's Mike Black. Okay. Good morning, Mike Black. Sorry about that. All right. Good morning to you, Pablo. Paul Richards, what's happening? You're muted. Unmute.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Good Tuesday morning to you all.
Morning, Paul. How you doing?
Morning. If you want smile, you got to pay for smile.
On a doubles?
No, thank you. I think I overdid it.
I don't have it.
I wasn't very disciplining last month when it comes to doubles. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to pass for a couple, but I was running a bit late. So I didn't worry. I'll call Manu's for breakfast. How was that?
No breakfast this morning. Kind of fasting.
Huh? You're fasting?
2 days a week these days, yes.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, I not saying a word. Mike
What?
Black, sorry about that, pal. You say how you mess up my name up. Mess my name up. Sorry, Mike Black. Thank you. Yeah, so good morning. How was your Labor Day weekend?
Filled with work, but I don't mind.
Yeah, boy. I could do it today. I could do it a day just to sit down and do nothing.
Filled with work, but I don't really mind. That's a problem for me.
Yeah, I could sit down and do absolutely nothing today. I need one more day holiday. There's so much stuff I have to do.
No holiday needed. Thank you.
Ah, okay. It was a blazing weekend. Oh, Wendell sent me a message. He's saying, unable to join, very nasal and stuffed up. Sorry.
Okay.
And that's his story you're sticking with, right, Wendell? Mm-hmm. 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 I've been so following this story with the submersible. I didn't even know that was a thing you could tourists go down to look at the Titanic.
Been doing it for a while.
One, I ain't doing that because I'm so claustrophobic. They have 96 hours. They went out. It's a tourist thing. You spend $250,000 and you go down and you view the Titanic. There's 3 paying passengers and 2 crew. And yeah, as you said in our newscast, hour 45 after, they lost contact.
Well, and they had 4 hours of oxygen left, like about almost 12 hours ago. So
yeah, so it's a race against.
I really think they're gonna find them alive. To be
the
very
U.S.
honest.
and Canada have sent out their rescue ships, including aircrafts and sonar. But just picture this: you're in this little tube the size of a truck. You have 96 hours of oxygen, and you're sitting there wondering,
is anybody coming?
Is anybody coming? And add
Do
salt
they
to
know
this
we're
injury. The only way in and out of that submersible is if somebody on the outside opens the hatch. That no, I'm sorry, but they are doing. They are searching feverishly.
Well, it's I don't know if it's a search mission anymore, to be very honest.
Right. It went missing on Sunday. Today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they just have like a few hours of oxygen remaining. Ugh.
Well, they had it at that time. They don't have that again, Steve.
Well, on Sunday when they went down there.
Yeah, that's Sunday.
Submersible carries 96 hours.
This is almost 24 hours later. So
yeah,
that it doesn't seem to be a rescue mission anymore. It's a search mission. No.
Yeah.
Sadly.
I think they find him. Hope it didn't implode.
That's another possibility.
Yeah. Because you're going down to, 3,500 feet? Not me.
Well, I mean, it's built for that kind of pressure, but...
It is, but... Just picture you in a tube less than this studio.
Yeah, it is. That is a pretty...
That's scary.
Confined space for me.
Yeah, that's...
My worst possible death is death by burial. That to me, it's like how I see people do these diving expeditions and they go to underwater caves and they crawl through the cave and stuff like that. That won't be happening to me.
I actually was watching a documentary like 2 weeks ago with his family. The American family went somewhere in the US and they decided to go exploring caves. And it was two brothers and somebody else. And they went into this narrow pathway. And one of them got stuck. Time they come out, they came out and went and get help and everything. And they put a lasso around his foot and was trying to drag him out. Now, he is facing down at about a 35% angle, head first. And they were bringing him up. And then the rope or whatever it was, it burst and he slid right back down.
Oh, God.
And, yeah. And he was lodged in there. And then they, spending so many hours with blood going to his head, he eventually lost consciousness because they couldn't reach him anymore. They were talking to him. And to make a long story short, they figured he passed away and they buried him there. And they put a plaque at the entrance. No. Sorry.
Stupid. So much to talk about this morning.
Yeah.
There's so much happened since last Friday when we last were on. The first thing I want to talk about is and send condolences to the family of that, I think it's 18 or 19-year-old St. Mary's College student who died in the most tragic of manners, that nobody should lose their child in that way.
Yeah. And I think everybody watched the Miss Rup Narayan's video on that.
Well, there are parts of it, the video I agree with, and parts of the video I don't agree with. I disagree with.
I agree with you there.
And she always goes beyond and above and extra to the point of she personalizes the news, which is not always a bad thing. But in that case, she took her usual slant. Let me just say she took her usual slant.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of know what her usual slant is by now. Which is fine if your slant is declared in advance. Mm-hmm. If you have a particular leaning and you say this is my leaning, then I have no problem with that, because people have the right of whatever alliance or allegiance they feel to have. You understand? But if you're operating as supposedly an independent journalist, then I have some issues. Because the slant is always a particular way from what I see. I could be wrong. Anyway. But I saw there are parts of her discourse that I fully agree with. And for those who may not know, this situation involves that I think he's 18 or 19-year-old St. Mary's College student, who from all reports was waiting for transportation with his mother. And a taxi pulled up and he allowed his mother, as a gentlemanly thing to do, to go ahead.
Yeah, it was full.
There was room for one more. And he waited and let his mother go ahead, which is so admirable. And she went ahead and he stayed back, and a shootout ensued between, I don't know, some criminals. They all had guns, shooting on. From that alone, I could call them criminals, because they're shooting indiscriminately in a public place. So they're criminals, and then they killed this boy too. Right? So
and all he went for was for something to drink, apparently.
Yeah,
while he went for a drink. Yeah, simple thing like that.
He had on his headphones and apparently didn't hear the commotion. And one of them grabbed him and used him as a human shield. And he was shot and died. I think he's a sixth form student. Terrell, I'll get his full name. Terrell, I know his name is Terrell. And I mean, the school was plunged into mourning. No doubt his family had to endure losing their child that they invested love and time and resources into.
Well, I've heard it so many times. The hardest thing for a parent to do is bury their child.
And especially in that way. You know, you don't expect to bury a child first of all. But
well, I honestly don't know. When it comes to crime, it is on the lips of every citizen in Trinidad and Tobago. And for those abroad,
Terrell Webster Thomas, 19 years old.
Terrell Webster Thomas.
Yeah.
What is crime going to be like in a couple of years?
He was used as a human shield by some. He died with Yuri Moses, and apparently this Yuri Moses is who grabbed him and used him as a shield. You know? He was declared dead at the scene on Saturday. Now, I mean, if that doesn't break your heart, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
And no parent should have to bury the child. Losing a child under those circumstances is bad. If your child gets sick and unfortunately dies, is something else, you know? But for the criminal element to feel that, oh my God, I don't know. I just don't know what
Yeah.
that poor mother and father and the family is going through. So condolences to them and his schoolmates and his friends. And one of the ones who, of course, was doing what he's supposed to do, going to school, getting
He's
an
not a
education to
monster.
prepare himself for life.
He's a gentleman.
And this is how his life ended, and it is really, really sad. So that's one.
He went to the grocery with his mom. That is what he went to do, help his mom with groceries. Waited for transport. One seat in the taxi. Go ahead, mom. You go ahead. I'll
The
take
other
the next
thing
one.
that disturbed me for many different reasons. Of course, I, like everyone else, looked on with great anticipation as to Fali Augustine's press briefing on Friday. It was an hour and 15 minutes, and he went through. Of course, he basically admitted it was him in the voice note. You know, he said it was him. He admitted having those discussions with Miss Hackett, I think is her name, Secretary Hackett. But before that, he also went into a long explanation about why the voice note was released and made allegations that it was an extortion attempt. He called the Warner Group, who were, according to him, demanding payment because they admitted in a newspaper article that they were in some financial trouble. And they actually confirmed what he said, that they made a call to get some of the money owed to them released. And he also alleged that two senior government officials called and encouraged him, I'm using that word very lightly, encouraged him to make a payment to the Warner Group, who had been associated, according to some reports, with the PNM and in Tobago. And that the voice note, he was threatened with the potential release of the voice note. Of course, it was eventually released. He also alleged that he thinks it was Watson Duke who recorded made the recording, which means that Watson Duke was in the meeting at that time. And Watson Duke has not confirmed that. And I'm sure Watson Duke has heard the whole thing. And that Fali Augustine and you know, the Warner Group did confirm that they called and asked for releases. So, but they didn't confirm any extortion attempt. And according to one of the newspaper reports on Sunday, indicated they're considering the legal options in terms of, I think the Sun's Keon Warner said he will take it to the limit, and they're considering the legal options in terms of the implications of what Mr. Augustine said, because he alleged, he accused them of extortion. You understand? So we see how that goes. But the other disturbing thing to me, and I don't know how it's sitting with other people, is that Mr. Augustine's explanation, and it really irks me. And even if people think it's true, and well, all political parties do that, it irks me, it disgusts me that we've come to accept that persons holding significant offices can engage in that kind of discussion as an option. And although Mr. Augustine said the thing about it is that they considered it and shut it down in the end, because the person going through the potential position was him, because there's a male voice and a female voice, is proposing this action, or this potential action, I should say, in a normal way. And that we've come to accept that that is a possible option that leaders in the country can have a full discussion on as an option, and we accept that that is just the normal running of things. I'm sorry, that disgusts me. And even if they didn't engage in it, and clearly they didn't, we probably have no way of knowing if it would have been carried out if the voice note wasn't released. We would never know. You understand? Or if it wasn't recorded, we would never know. And I refuse to accept that it is the normal running of persons in significant offices, that is an option that is discussed in an official capacity. Crazy. I refuse to accept that. But it's almost a case of, in Trinidad and Tobago, we've gotten to this stage where there's so much lack of integrity that is pot calling kettle black no matter who points the finger at Mr. Augustine. Because we have heard in the last couple of months or a year or so about a situation where similar propaganda is alleged to be paid through a state enterprise. You understand? So while some may suggest, well, it's status quo and everybody doing it, that doesn't mean we have to accept it. That does not mean we have to accept this is a normal running of our country. And if we accept it, we are slipping further and further down the abyss of no return. So it's almost a case of so many of them are involved in these nefarious activities that Mr. Augustine is asking us to believe, well, everybody doing it, and well, it's a consideration that everybody has, and we will discuss it and shut it down and do option it, and that's all right. And I don't think that's all right, because I don't think that if you are running an organization, an institution with integrity, that should ever be a discussion, because it's unethical. If you're hiring somebody in the THA or hiring somebody in any state institution to do a job, that is the job they should be doing. And to presume that part of it is engaging in propaganda, and the word, let me Google the word propaganda, so you get a sense of what propaganda actually means. Propaganda. Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. So you're distributing biased and misleading information. That promoting biased and misleading information paid by the public purse is acceptable, is a ridiculous proposition, no matter who is doing it. Okay? And as I said before, we have heard of cases where persons are allegedly being paid through the public purse to disseminate propaganda in other areas, and it is equally wrong. So Mr. Augustus's proposition that, well, we discussed it and we decided against it is I must stop before I get this company in trouble.
Oh Lord, don't do that.
The views expressed.
Those of he didn't say
Richard.
Yet.
I'm not necessarily the views of Radio Vision, or maybe it is. No, but you understand what I mean, Steve? That we have come to accept now that, well, Steve, let's Steve, I see a grocery on the main road. I have some bills to pay, Maybe I should consider going and steal some groceries and selling it to make some money to pay for the groceries for the cook we have on the weekend. And at the end, let me do it.
Yeah. Pretty much
that is basically what it is, right? Yeah. So we have a discussion in a public about a public officer. It's not even me and you personal business, right? The Tobago House of Assembly. And that is the kind of discussion and options that are available.
Mm-hmm.
That is the discussion of the kind of options available. Okay. Things change on me, And if we accept that as right and integritous and good thinking, something wrong.
Something wrong.
Okay? If we accept that is how public officers engage in discussions around a board table in an official capacity, something wrong. And if what he says about the Warner Group is true, that is equally disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I stress if, because I don't know that it is true. Relatedly, Dr. Rowley's come out and said, because there was a Tobago Council meeting last night, which Dr. Rowley gave the feature address as head of the PNM, and he has intonated that he is not prepared to meet with Mr. Augustine unless there's a third party present, because, quote, Mr. Augustine had developed a habit for telling untruths and withholding vital pieces of information. So, I don't
know, yes.
We've reached an unfortunate space when we accept that is the kind of discussion that is supposed to be acceptable and above board in an official capacity. And I have a real issue with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that if you and I, Steve, somebody records you and I planning to rob a place on the Eastern Main Road, even if we do it, that they will look upon us as wholesome citizens. Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Indifferent. And again, I commend Overshe on one hand for raising the issue of the way that young man was killed.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, she has a tendency to go off the rail at the end. But I commend her for raising the issue, because I didn't see many people express the kind of disgust we should as a country as to the way that young man died. But you know, when we've become so numb to the specter of murder, gang violence, I mean children getting killed and shot at and killed in this country, that it's no surprise that we kind of unfortunately go about our lives as well. It's just another person died.
Yeah, we have really gotten numb to it.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, because as I said, no parent should have to lose their child in that manner. No parent should have to lose their child in that manner. You understand? Anyway. What else is happening?
Sad day. It's a sad time.
Trade union movement held their marches yesterday. Many are suggesting the marches was smaller than past years. I didn't see a lot of news coverage, and they are asking that the minimum wage be $30 an hour. So that could be our question this morning.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the trade union movement, the joint trade union movement, that the minimum wage in the country should be $30 an hour? Well, let me tell you something. While I agree with that, if the minimum wage almost doubles, because right now it's $17.50.
Yeah.
If the minimum wage almost doubles, guess who will be paying more at the groceries?
Yep.
Everywhere. Because you know,
everything will go up.
Mr. Grocery Man and Mr. KFC and Mr. Royal Cast and Mr. Pizza Hut ain't taking that hit by themselves.
No.
Because they have to pay everyone double what they pay, almost double what they pay them now.
Yeah.
So, I know. While it has to be against the backdrop of what impact that will have on the entire economy and on the prices of goods and services. While it's great and nobody could I don't think it's anybody with any compassion, given the cost of living these days, is going to be against people getting more money in their pockets. You understand? Because the cost of living is really, ridiculous. Prices of stuff over the last, since they started the pandemic into just post-pandemic, have really escalated tremendously. Almost doubling the minimum wage will also have a serious impact on the prices of goods and services at the supermarket shelves
Yeah.
the tuck shop around the corner. Anything private sector primarily, and it will seep into public sector also. So, I mean, it's a conversation for the financial experts and the economists. Maybe we could talk to somebody. Are we talking to Tahaka this morning?
Yes, we are.
Right. The other big news is that Tahaka Obika, former
We had
UNC
him like
senator,
one time.
I stayed with him for a while in the 2015-2020 term, has made a bold move from the United National Congress. This is on Friday, or it's also happened on Friday, to the People's National Movement. He was signing papers with Laura Lezama Leasing, who I think is the PNM Public Relations Officer. I also saw him in a picture, Mr. Obika, that is with Dr. Rowley, the Prime Minister, and Fitzgerald Hines. Clearly, they're having some sort of discussion. Of course, he's drawn the eye of the UNC. I see Jonathan Dalsing, Couva South, I think it is, MP, has called him a political grasshopper. And
once somebody moves across, you always call a political grasshopper.
Mr. Obika, I'm sure, knew that he would not be spared the wrath of some members of the UNC after making that move, which is his right as a citizen. You could associate with who you want. Where's the right, here it is. He put a post last night. I'm quoting from his I think this is his Facebook page. Someone just informed me that a speaker on a UNC platform tonight, I'm quoting Mr. Obika here, drew a parallel between pinning the Balenciaga on my jacket with pinning the tail on a donkey. This is another thing that I advise them against. That is reprehensible to refer to human beings as if you're describing animals. I see they have not learned. I apologized in the past, yet I feel the need to do so once more. Trinidad Tobago, kindly allow me to once again humbly apologize for my past transgressions. I seek the forgiveness of you, the people. In May, I turned the milestone age of 40, and on reflection, I made a commitment to use the benefit of my experience to let this life-learned wisdom guide my future actions. End quote. That is from Tahaka Obika, who sent this last night. I guess he posted, and he also sent it to persons who would have been on his WhatsApp.
Yeah, he sent it to me as well.
So he's going to be our guest at 7:07 this morning. I'd love to ask him, about his move from the UNC to the PNM. This follows the move of 3 councillors. And there's been some consternation about the way he resigned from the UNC, with some suggesting that he was the chief economist in the office of the leader of the opposition.
Correct. And
he resigned from that position on Friday and joined the PNM on the same day. People do that all the time. If you resign from a work now, you understand? As a matter of fact, people going to other positions in any work environment. I don't know what it is politically. And he resigned from the UNC, so I guess it must take some hours after he joined the PNM officially. The PNM is hailing it as another victory this after 3 councillors have resigned and moved to the PNM in the last couple of weeks. And now Mr. Obika has also left the UNC and joined the People's National Movement. Interesting move. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up in the Senate even before the break coming up in July as a temporary PNM senator across the aisle. We'll see how that works out.
Company.
Well, he's been there before on the UNC side, so the Senate is not a strange place for Mr. Obika. I guess it'll depend on what bill they're debating coming out. I know the House is sitting this afternoon. I don't know what's on the agenda, so we'll see. I mean, how it works for him, kind of thing.
So we'll chat with him. I'm just waiting for his email. I thought I had it, but I don't.
Yep. So that's the other big story that broke on Friday. I think it'll be interesting to hear from him what prompted. He said in the newspaper reports I've read, he said there are factors, and he didn't elaborate, or the reports didn't elaborate. There are factors that caused his departure from the UNC.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right? What else is happening?
What else is happening? There was a lot of accidents on the highways yesterday. There was a horrific.
There was a horrible accident on the highway.
By Valsane,
horrible. I saw some video on social media.
Yeah. There's one by
really,
Diego
really,
Martin.
Really horrible accident.
Still to be confirmed, another accident yesterday afternoon by the Elksgrove walkover. Where it's alleged that someone got knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to confirm. I didn't say anything much on that.
Yeah.
But, and let me just say this. The TTPS needs to be a little more aggressive when it comes to vehicles on the road. There is too many cars that stay on the right lane and drive slowly. They create a problem, but they continue to stay on the right lane. There's so many cars. So what happens now, as I call it, you're playing Frogger. You have to go from the left to the middle. Somebody's driving slow, then you go to the slow, then they come back to the middle, then they come back to the fast lane. And it's all right across the board. Doesn't matter what you drive.
So what would you have them do?
Stay left except to overtake.
What would you have? You said the TTPS.
No, and I have actually seen the TTPS when they are cruising around and cars are driving on the right lane in a slow matter of speed. They go and they flick their lights and put their sirens and tell them to move to the left. I've seen it many times.
So what are you advocating to do? That's what I'm asking you.
Just to police it a little more. Stay to the left except to overtake. There are too many cars on our roads. There's no such thing as a Sunday afternoon drive anymore. There's too many
cars because we don't have our public transportation system, which is mainly PTSC. It's horrible.
Well, it's non-existent.
If I have to get from X to Y, I have to have a car. And if I don't, I can't wait inordinately for a bus. If they're public holiday, there are no buses running in some instances. And our public transportation system, thank God, we like to chastise them, but thank God for the maxi taxi service, because if we had to depend on PTSC, we'd all be home if we didn't have a car.
Correct. Did they work
that's why there's so many cars on the road. People say there are too many cars in the road. What do you want people to do? Walk?
Yeah. Did PTSC operate yesterday? Public holiday?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Across the pond, legislators in the United Kingdom have voted overwhelmingly to approve a report that recommended sanctioning former Prime Minister Boris Johnson for lying to Parliament about boozy, law-breaking parties held during COVID-19 pandemic. The House of Commons voted 354 to 7 on Monday to endorse the Privileges Committee report, which concluded the former leader would have his parliamentary pass revoked. Had he not already quit, it would have also recommended a 90-day suspension from Parliament. Of course, he ran and resigned quick, because he got a preview of the report before it was laid in Parliament in the UK. I mean, as one of the commentators said yesterday, he had a history line. Why would it surprise anybody that he lied about that too? Boris Johnson had been a problematic character for a long time.
Oh gosh, yes.
For a long time. And of course, you get a big work in one of the papers already, so it's not a matter of money for him.
Yes.
Quite a wealthy man. Yeah, he's not going to suffer.
Of course you wouldn't suffer.
An editorial writer or commentator or something. He's very, very good at his job in terms of journalism. That's where he rose to prominence. He's one of these charismatic writers. Very charismatic writers. So, I mean, but let me tell you something. In the UK, that may not be the end of Boris Johnson. I think the Tory party are in some problems heading into whatever the next election is. They've had no end of trouble. From Boris to Liz Truss, who last about 3 months, if so long. And now Rishi Sunak, who is equally in some trouble. And Labour is coming on strong, and we'll see how it goes in the UK. I saw some interviews with Donald Trump in the US across the other side of the pond too, but that's a whole different conversation. He is problematic beyond measure. Donald Trump's like, I don't know where they get that character from. That a country could breed that sort of individual and that sort of mindset is disturbing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? And as I said before, but I guess it's not exclusive to Trinidad and Tobago that politics has devolved into the some of the crazy slipping into the fray.
Exactly.
But Trump and right here, I keep things. So I think he had a little mental. Anyway, it's 6:45.
Yeah, let me just say good morning to a few people that sent us messages on YouTube. Sweet Bandy, I saw your name when I read it earlier when I said Sweet Brandy.
Well, guys, someone is saying that it's still presumed to be alive in the submersible, so it's still a search and rescue.
Yeah, it's still a search and rescue. Beauty Culture, good morning. Lately, there's been a statement that they all do it. How can we as a people accept such? Michael Gratis on Suncover says at $30 TT, unemployment will definitely.
He's right. You couldn't even let go people.
Yeah. It's only
doubling the expenditure line is going to result in some job losses in the private sector.
If you hire 10 people, I am sure you look for 5 people to let go, so you can stay at the margin.
Probably let go about 4 people.
Yeah. Jay says, Paul, I totally agree with you. We will never know if Farley implemented what was discussed. Also, if a contractor is demanding money.
That's not what I said. I said that he may have implemented it.
That's what Paul said. He said if a contractor is demanding monies owed for work, especially if certified for payment, it cannot be deemed to be extortion.
Well, no. If you are threatening to release what could be a damning tape to get money fast, that could be extortion.
Yeah.
Because you are demanding money owed, but you're demanding it to be expedited unless I will release the tape, or you're demanding that you're pushing me to the front of the line to get money. Otherwise, I'll release the tape. That is extortion. So I disagree with that. Money owed is one thing. Demanding it, or I will release a tape, is extortion.
What are you talking about? I have no idea what that's.
Hey, Richie Rich. We were talking about people paying X amount of money to come and see this little pea is tired.
Your mic is muted, Richard.
Hi, morning, guys.
Hi. There you go.
That Farley Augustine press conference, did it ever come off?
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
Because
I saw for a long time.
I saw nothing in our groups that indicated it.
No, it came off. What I said earlier on is that he basically said, well, it is a normal actually we kind of predicted what the position may have been. He said he basically confirmed it was him in the audio tape. He alleged it was Watson Duke who he thinks released the audio tape. He said that the tape was sent to him about 2 months ago. He alleged it is the Warner Group who had done some millions of dollars of work in Tobago, and they said, and the company is in a financial trouble. That was confirmed in a newspaper report, and they said they want to be paid, or their payment expedited, or they would release the tape. Right? And he also said, well, he confirmed the discussion did take place, but they chose as the Integritas Group not to go down that road. And I was saying earlier on, I don't know that I could associate a discussion at that level with that kind of nefarious activity as Integritas. Even if you didn't go down that road, I don't know that is even an option for discussion. And that you call that integrity is disturbing to me.
Yeah. Which Warner
That,
Group
that,
is
that
it
is
talking about?
integrity. That we discussed it when we didn't do it. That is integrity.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not really
No.
the definition.
That is not the definition of integrity. How does enter your mind to deceive people and mislead people? And okay, well, we didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, correct. But we have to say we have to condition saying that by saying what Farley said. We don't know if it's true or not. Or we can say that what Farley said, if this is true, then certainly the standard of integrity or the definition of integrity.
No, he said we had the discussion.
Who?
Farley.
Right, just saying that about the Warner Group.
Well, that were the allegations of extortion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what
The
you're
Warner
saying.
Group did confirm. The Warner Group did confirm
extortion, and then they withdrew.
Yeah, the Warner Group did confirm that they asked him for the payment to be expedited. They did not confirm that they threatened to release a tape if the payment wasn't expedited.
Okay. Which Warner Group is this?
This is the Alan and Alan is the founder, the father, I think, and Keon Warner is the son who spoke to the newspaper on the weekend.
Or this is a Tobago company or something like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But Tobago Construction Company, pretty well known.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think the sum in question was $60 million or something like that. And also, I forgot to add it earlier on. Yeah, that Farley Augustine also suggested that a lot of the invoices presented for work, the work wasn't done. Or the work was poorly done. So there's a whole back and that confusion in that situation. There's several issues that came up there that are cause for great concern. Anyway, do you have newspapers?
No, sorry, I didn't get them this morning.
Okay. All right, so let me roll through the newspapers this morning here. And of course, Tahako Obika will be our guest at 7:07 this morning. New PNM member Tahako Obika. Okay. Let's start with the Newsday Online. It is Tuesday, the 20th of June, 2023. Newsday, firearms, ammunition seized over the weekend. Hines, national security guided by the same principles as church. Workers criticizes union leaders for accepting CPO offer. Woodland residents defying ministry warning, continue to fix riverbank. PM, I want no discussions with Farley unless there's a third person. Duke at Labor Day March, I will not be distracted. Minister dismisses garrulous complaints over town hall meeting. That's Camille Robinson Regis. And FC Phoenix soars to summit of Trinidad Tobago Premier League Tier 2. Let's move now expeditiously to the Express. $30 an hour. That's what the unions are demanding. JTAM is demanding the minimum wage be. That'll be the subject of our question this morning. Residents warned against unapproved repair works in the midst of flooding. Mother returns to Cardi Bay. Wassa wants police to probe Tobago project. Brett may become a threat. Well, not a threat to Trinidad and Tobago, but to some parts of the Desert Antilles. Baby, mom and teen injured as killers open fire on car. Penal man killed in home invasion. That's also
home invasion happened. Jeez.
To The Guardian newspaper. And the Guardian this morning, Massey worker injured in blaze dies. That is Massey Energy Engineering Solutions. A worker assigned to Nikwan Energy, Trinidad Tobago's Point of plant was injured. Well, he subsequently has died, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Condolences to his family and colleagues. Christians pray for lawmen at Woodford Square. PSA head, government inquest to destroy trade union movement. Family, friends of divers in pirate diving tragedy join Labor Day celebrations. Duke, PDP will capture Port of Spain Corporation in polls. Morning, Wendell. Antigua government to use funds from sale of yacht to reduce debt. Parry calls on government to help Mairo youths. And embattled Guyanese minister denies sexual assault allegations. So those are trending stories in your Guardian, your Newsday, and your Express. Our question this morning stems, yes, I know you'll jump into the poll from last week. From the call from JTAM, the Joint Trade Union Movement, to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour from $17.50 an hour, which was done in 2019. So our question would be, do you agree that minimum wage should be raised to $30 an hour? Yes or no? So results from last week, Steve.
Yep. So start calling us right now. Our poll on Friday. We asked you, would you like to see debates involving all political parties, all political party leaders in the upcoming local government elections? The results are in 69% said yes. All right.
Well, I can just tell you not much, but a debate is coming, but I'll say no more right now.
All right. You
Debatable
heard it from the man who enters that red building. Yep. You heard it from him. So expect it. All right. This morning, would you support $30?
Do you agree
that
minimum wage in TNT should be raised to $30 an hour? Yes or no?
So do you agree with JTM that the minimum wage should be raised to $30 an hour? It's currently what, at 15 or 16?
$17.50.
So well, a little less than double. So do you agree with JTM that the minimum wage should be raised to $30 an hour?
Mm-hmm. All right, that's our poll. Yes or no? 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. All right, that's our numbers directly into our studio. And of course, on YouTube, you can also tell us yes or no. All right, good morning to you, Lando. Good morning to you. All right, CJ New York, good morning. Wendy Ann, good morning. Do you agree with JTM that minimum wage should go up to $30 an hour?
Yep, that's our poll. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, absolutely toll-free to you at 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you can use the messaging portal located on those platforms. Of course, people in other parts of the world, 1-868-222-TALK, 222-8255. Our poll, do you agree with JTM that the minimum wage in Trinidad and Tobago should be raised to $30 per hour? Which is like maybe what? $4 to $5 per hour. If you were giving the US equivalent for our North Americans. So do you agree with JTM that the minimum wage in TNT should be raised to $30 an hour? That is our poll this morning. You know you have an opinion. We want to know it.
Yep. Rampage says no. Carol Guevara says no. DJ Ray says no. Una Antoine says yes. What says you, caller?
Hey, good morning. Calling here from the Maine. Listen to me. That should go to 105, which is $15 US an hour. 105 TTR.
What is the minimum wage in the US right now?
$15.
Oh, it's 15.
$15.
Okay.
So it should go up to 105. So they ain't saying anything yet.
Mm-hmm. All right. A lot of people have been in breadline if it's 105 an hour. All right. Yeah, give us a call. 222-8255. North Americans, like our last caller, 866-525-1099. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Yes, expeditiously.
Thank you, Arima. Ish out in Malik. Morning, Ish. Says no. Trini Jam. Good morning, guys. Sadly, my answer is yes to the poll. The supermarket prices are unbelievable, along with everything else. I always wonder how minimum wage. Yeah, but you know, Trini Jam, if it goes up to $30 an hour, prices in the supermarket would also go up.
Well, some places do pay more than $30 an hour. Yeah?
It depends on your field.
Yeah, some companies do pay more than $30 an hour.
Yeah, it depends on the job. Like a store clerk might make the minimum wage, but let's say IT tech that is he might get more than minimum wage.
Well, IT techs will generally be paid monthly.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying outside of the usual.
But minimum wage people, there are some companies that do offer attractive minimum wage.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Scorpion pepper. Yes. At the current wage, people can't afford a loaf of bread. Yeah. How much for a loaf of bread now? $17, $18 for wheat. Stretch. No, this must be driven by data. GNC Auto Security. Good morning, GNC Auto Security. Folks, AV's in the studio, can't you tell? GNC Auto Security says yes. Wayne out in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada says no. D said it should be raised for sure, but not to $30. So no to the poll. All right. Any more coming in here? And I have a call. Let's grab this call. Final call. Good morning.
My answer is no.
No. Thank you. All righty. All right. Oh, one just slipped in here. Miss Ingrid out in Tucson, Arizona said my answer to the poll is yes, yes, yes. I was trying to do a show and didn't come out well. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Continue to vote on our poll on our mobile app and on our website. We'll give you final results come tomorrow morning. But let's get into our major news. AV is in, as you already heard.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Joint Trade Union movement is calling for an increase in the minimum wage to $30 an hour. Meanwhile, family and friends of the 4 divers killed in the Paria tragedy participate in yesterday's Labor Day march in Faizabad. Members of the People's National Movement Tobago Council took to the streets of Scarborough to call for the resignation of Farley Augustine, and search teams are racing against time to find a tourist submersible that went missing during a dive to the wreck of the Titanic. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afra Sintel Bab. Good morning. The Joint Trade Union movement is calling for an increase in the minimum wage to $30 an hour. JTUM leader and President General of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, Ansel Roger, made the call yesterday while speaking during Labor Day celebrations at Charlie King Junction, Faizabad, saying that nobody in the country should be working for less than $30 an hour. Mr. Roger called on the membership of the trade unions and other minimum wage earners to stand with the labor movement as they demand that workers be treated with dignity and respect. The minimum wage currently stands at $17.50 an hour and took effect in December 2019. Meanwhile, family and friends of the 4 divers killed in the Paria tragedy participated in yesterday's Labor Day march in Faizabad. The theme of this year's Labor Day event was People Power, People Matter. Commencing at 10:45 a.m., the participants urged residents and spectators along the route to join the march. Although some trade unionists described the turnout as poor, members from almost 24 trade unions began the march from Avocat Junction and proceeded to Charlie King Junction. Members of the People's National Movement Tobago Council took to the streets in Scarborough in a march on Labor Day organized by the group Concerned Citizens of Tobago. They are once again calling for Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Farley Augustine to resign over the audio clip scandal. Led by Council Leader Ansel Dennis, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris, Tobago East MP Ayana Webster Roy, and Independent Senator Lawrence Hislop, just under 100 people left the car park at Gardenside and made their way through Lower Scarborough, chanting, "Farley must go," before heading uptown, making a trip around the THA Assembly Legislature building before ending at James Park. Public Relations Officer of the group, James Trim, called for the resignation of the entire THA executive. Morris said Augustine should step down because of admitting he was part of the plan to hire people in the THA to promote his party's political propaganda. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says he does not intend to have any future discussions with Chief Secretary Augustine unless there is a third party present. He made the comment while addressing a PNM meeting at the Calder Hall Multipurpose Facility, Tobago last night. Under the Constitution, the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary are supposed to meet at specific periods to discuss matters pertaining to Tobago. However, Dr. Rowley claimed that Augustine had developed a habit of telling untruths and withholding vital pieces of information. A Massey Energy Engineered Solutions Limited worker assigned to Nequan Energy Trinidad's Point-A-Pear plant, who was injured in an incident at the facility on Thursday, has passed away. He died while undergoing treatment at a hospital in Miami. Mees confirmed the death in a media statement, saying, quote, Mass Energy Engineered Solutions Limited is deeply saddened by the passing of our employee, Alan Lane Ramkisoon, who was involved in an incident at Nequan Energy Trinidad Limited on Thursday, 15th June 2023, end quote. According to the statement, quote, he was being treated at a specialist facility, but unfortunately succumbed to his injuries and passed away on Sunday, 18th June 2023, end quote. Speaking at Labor Day celebrations in Faizabad yesterday, Oilfield Workers Trade Union Point-A-Pear branch president Christopher Jackman revealed the series of events that led to Ramkisoon's injury. He said while the company is not unionized, workers have been speaking with him on a regular basis out of concern. Jackman told the media that he was working at the facility and encountered a process leak where naphtha sprayed onto Ramkisoon and he would have been lit afire. He said that he was unsure what caused the ignition. However, Ramkisoon was lit ablaze and he was advised by persons on site to jump and they would catch him. After he proceeded to jump, they failed to catch him properly, and as a result of that, he sustained further injuries by falling onto the floor. Jackman said that he was told the jump was roughly 10 feet high. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The Caribbean is facing its first possible hurricane threat for this year. Forecasters say Tropical Storm Brett, which formed in the central Atlantic Ocean yesterday, could pose a hurricane threat to the Caribbean as early as Thursday. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, in a statement yesterday, said the system poses no immediate threat to Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, and its dependencies. However, it could bear down on the Lesser Antilles by Thursday and the Dominican Republic and Haiti by the weekend. Search teams are racing against time to find a tourist submersible that went missing during a dive to the wreck of the Titanic. 2 Pakistanis are among the 5 people on the vessel, businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. Another of those believed to be on board is British businessman and explorer Hamish Harding. Contact with the small sub was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into the dive to the wreck site on Sunday. As of Monday afternoon, it was thought the crew members had 4 days' worth of oxygen left at most. Finally, here is weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, fair to partly cloudy with showers over a few areas. There's a low to medium chance that the isolated shower can become heavy and or thundery during the afternoon. Mostly settled night despite the lingering shower. In the event of a heavy shower or thunderstorm, gusty winds and street flooding are possible. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 27 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the Joint Trade Union Movement is calling for an increase in the minimum wage to $30 an hour. Meanwhile, family and friends of the 4 divers killed in the Paria tragedy participated in yesterday's Labor Day march in Faizabad. Members of the People's National Movement Tobago Council take to the streets in Scarborough to call for the resignation of Farley Augustine, and search teams are racing against time to find a tourist submersible that went missing during a dive to the wreck of the Titanic. I'm Afril Cynthia Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Avril, for our major news on this, the 20th day of June. Good morning to you. Of course, we'll hear from Avi again coming up at 8 o'clock this morning with our news brief. All right. Quickly, let's take a look at traffic, see what's happening on the highways and on the byways. Let me start down San Fernando. Oh, lighter than usual. You know, that's going to change in an hour. Even heading to Marabella Junction is not too bad. Heading towards Princestown, you've got some traffic there. Heading from St. Margaret's Village to Claxton Bay on the main road, got some traffic there. Riverland Road is heavy. Chaguanas Main Road is heavy. From Chin Chin Road to Ibis Gardens, it's a bit stop and go. Kelly Village, you're going to get traffic just before Monroe Road as you head northbound. Piarco towards Huey, Ibis Gardens, La Pal actually, towards the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, Curep to Port of Spain, Tacarigua, Mocoya, going to St. Augustine and Curep, a bit slow going. All right. And of course, out of the west, out of Maraval, from Moncoco Road, out of Dago approaching Crystal Stream, you've got some traffic there. All right. Right. So we're back. Let me just check to see if I have any more votes. Let's see. Sexy San Fernando is asking, when is the next public holiday? 1st of August, Emancipation Day. You have the whole of July to go through with no holidays. All right. All right. But I got no new votes.
Well, our poll this morning was, do you agree with JTM that the minimum wage in Trinidad and Tobago should be raised to $30 per hour? We had 15 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 15 people, 8 of you said no, 7 of you said yes. It was pretty split, around 50-50 lines. But of course, the no's just went ahead by a within the 15 people that voted. 8 said no, that 7 said yes. $30 an hour. Of course, $30 an hour works out for an 8-hour day to roughly $240 per day, which works out for a 40-hour week, roughly to $1,200 for the week, $4,800 for the month. If you're looking at it from a standard sort of hours point of view.
Camera, Richard. There are several considerations to that. One, the cost for salaries for companies will go up. And that will have ripple-on implications for cost of goods and services generally. In many cases, possibly not all, some private sector employers will decide, well, I can't carry this expenditure load at this minimum wage, and I'm going to let go some people. So it's not just about it. And I mean, putting more money in people's hands is very important, given the cost of living. But you also have to look at the other effects that will have on the running of businesses and the cost of goods and services in the country generally.
Even though some companies do pay
more than that.
Or more than that in terms of their minimum wage.
More than $17.50, right?
Yeah, for their lowest end, let's say, employee in terms of wages. Mm-hmm. So they have some companies that would be less affected, maybe, if it went up to $30. There's some that would be very much affected. But you're looking, as I said, for a 40-hour week, that somebody is really earning $4,800 a month, which is not that much in the larger scheme of things in life.
Right, on the low end of the scale, but it also has to be the context of, I mean, the cost of running a business now and what they want their margins to be. For private sector firms are not necessarily in it only for humanitarian means. They want to provide employment at some level, but they want to make money. And if the cost of all the inputs are going up, it means their margins are less. And not many of them want lower margins.
No, I mean, it's obviously going to be data driven, but $4,800 a month.
Is that a big salary when you think about the cost of living?
It's not incredulous.
No, it's not a huge salary when you think about it.
It's not incredulous.
When you think if somebody has 2 children, right? Rent to pay, groceries to buy, transportation costs, and other costs associated with having children. $1,400 is not a lot of money. But I mean,
right now the current minimum wage would work out to be, for the similar thing, $140 per day for a week, a work day of 8 hours, and for a work week of 40 hours, which means you're just multiplying it basically by 5, equals to $700 per week, which equals to $2,800 per month.
Yeah.
Just to give you some perspective in terms of how it all works out, if you're looking at a 40-hour work week, which is the standard that we usually look at, it means you're talking about somebody getting paid $2,800 a month.
Maybe we could compromise at 25. Maybe we could compromise at 25.
Well, it certainly needs to go up from $1,750.
Yeah, I agree with that. Given the present cost of living.
Yeah.
I ain't think the private sector would like that too much at all. Some of the private sector
would want it to go up to 30. That's because that's almost doubling it.
It's almost doubling it.
Yeah.
But certainly it needs to be increased.
Adjusted. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking earlier on about that Fadi Augustine 1 hour and 50-minute press briefing, because he didn't take questions from the media, so it's not a press conference, where he intonated the allegations of extortion by the Warner Group. They've since said in the Express, I think Sunday, that they had discussions about their legal options, given the fact that he accused them, Mr. Augustine accused them of trying to extort, some level of extortion in terms of expediting their payments. They confirmed they did call him. Mr. Augustine also said he received calls from 2 senior government officials trying to get the Warner Group paid, which is also a question mark, because, I mean, if that is true, I don't know why government is calling to have a particular private sector construction company paid as opposed to others. That's also disturbing if it is true. Yeah. You understand? I think Dr. Rowley addressed that last night in Tobago also, and he says that Dr. Rowley, that he doesn't want no meeting with Fadi Augustine unless a third party is present, I guess, to corroborate or deny or support what either person would have said. It's sad that's broken down to that lack of trust. In Dr. Rowley's words, Mr. Augustine is prone to untruths and leaving out vital information in the conversation. Mr. Augustine also said on Friday that the audio tape, he believes, we have no confirmation of this, was done and leaked or done by Watson Duke and possibly given to the Warners or provided to the Warners, which they, in his words, tried to extort him. He said he received it 2 months ago. He basically confirmed without saying it implicitly that it was him in the audio tape, and the discussion did take place, but that they did not follow through on the discussion of that possibility, which I have a real issue with, that we should just accept, well, that's part of the running of the assembly, and that, well, we discuss all options, unethical or not, at that level, that it enters your mind. I just have a real issue with that. But as I also said earlier on, pot calling kettle black in many cases, because we've heard of situations where that persons are being played to propaganda. And remember when Anita Haynes was our guest and she said, propaganda is just a word that's used? Well, propaganda means, and I stress for those who didn't hear earlier on, information, especially in a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. So I don't know that we could be easily glossing over state funds being used for any kind of propaganda. And we've heard of allegations of state funds passing through a state enterprise being used for propaganda recently also, which is equally as egregious. So if that is where we are now, we're accepting that this is the state of play and that is how we do things, something wrong. Because I don't know that in any circumstance, state money should be being used for propaganda. I don't know that is what it's supposed to be. And if I am wrong, somebody please let me know. That is what we are accepting now as standard operations for taxpayers' money. Okay? Yeah. So that's a discussion. among senior officials in an institution that's running an island.
It's an
it's
an unacceptable conversation.
Exactly.
And there is no, couching it in any other terms.
But we discussed it, but we didn't do it. Really?
It's an unacceptable conversation to have, and it goes to your character.
Yes.
And
before that press conference, he said, Mr. Augustine, that he would not have, he had not spoken yet because he had to think of the integrity of the assembly, its importance to Tobago, and the fact that there needs to be an assembly post him. So if you're thinking about the integrity of the assembly, how does a discussion about misleading information being propagated by someone employed part of that discussion? Explain to me.
Yeah.
Maybe a little slow.
And the larger conversation too, Paul, it's that it's a pet peeve for a lot of Trinidadians and Tobagonians that when parties come into power, they play with that power in terms of hiring certain people and giving things to different people for propaganda purposes or for whatever party favors because there is no oversight of campaign finance.
Yep.
So it feeds into that larger conversation of the ethical behavior of politicians when dealing with state monies and not to further use state funds to further your hold on power, so to speak, in mischievous and unethical ways. So that's part of the larger conversation.
As I told Steve earlier,
that Trinidadians and Tobagonians are tired of. We want people to be ethical in terms of their behaviors across, whether you are across to the sister island in terms of Tobago, or whether you're here in Trinidad. We want better use and better accountability for the use of our state funds, even in terms of recruitment, in terms of who you hire, in terms of companies you hire, especially even though procurement may help that, I guess. The new procurement regulations and stuff may help that. But it is a long-standing problem. And I think Farley's conversation in that audio tape, well, he's more or less indicated it's him, is, I am sure, for many Tobago voters, disappointing. Because there are Tobago voters.
It's a little more than disappointing, Richard, because if Steve and I, we discussed this, if Steve and I sit down in Steve's business place, and this is just an analogy, and have a conversation about, well, Richard has tickets here. Let's sell somebody tickets and keep the money until Richard will use the tickets. But then we don't follow through on it. I mean, does that make us, because we don't follow through on it, does that make us have integrity?
No.
Well, how we get there?
That the thought germinates in your mind.
And we discuss it.
And discuss it, and you discuss it as a possible...
As a potential option?
Yeah, no.
And we accept that, okay, well, we're great, you didn't do it. Oh my God, you didn't do it.
So it's unfortunate. I mean... But I say for some Tobago voters, Paul, they would be disappointed because they would have expected more.
Is that option with discussing?
Yeah, they would have expected more in terms of the transformative nature of the politics which Farley and his group espoused. And I don't see that there is any other option if Farley Augustine wants to save brand Farley Augustine. Which in context of politics of Trinidad and Tobago, I think he has to recognize and atone for it and hope that the voting public forgives you. And
so it's really, so it's almost like deflecting responsibility for what is on tape. And I'm not in any way minimizing an allegation of extortion, an attempted extortion. Don't get me wrong. You understand? But if that part is true, it's equally as reprehensible.
Yep.
If that part is true. Okay? But it don't absolve a discussion like that. Because if you didn't discuss it in the first place, there would be no opportunity for extortion. And we just like, okay, cool. Well, and you know what the discussion is now? Well, the PNM just do it too. That, if that is true, that is equally as bad. We keep making these false equivalencies as if it is duplicate what is something that's lacking moral integrity. Because somebody else do it, or they do it in the past, or they might do it in the future, doesn't mean that you should do it also, or even consider it. And that's why we find ourselves where we are in this country now. Because we keep lowering the ban, lowering the ban, lowering the ban. The ban on the ground now. The ban digging in the ground now to go underground. That is not good governance. A discussion of that nature is not good governance. As an option, I'm sorry. I'm ranting so much I forget we have a guest. Good morning, Mr. Obika. My apologies.
Morning, good morning.
I was ranting. I apologize. It's get kind of crazy sometimes with you strippiness. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And
I get a headache.
Dr. Honorable, and of course.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Very good.
So, well, if I tell you congratulations, people will say I'm biased. So I will just say acknowledgement of your new move.
We could start off.
Say congratulations. They're going to put that all out. So let me just say congratulations. Let me just say we acknowledge your recent move.
Yeah, your recent move. But you know, Mr. Obika, if we could start off the conversation about how do you think that affects your brand? Because you have a brand because you're a politician. How do you think crossing from one party affects your brand? Because historically, it has not been seen as attractive in terms of trustworthiness by the electorate. How do you combat that sense of assessment of what you would have done?
So thanks again, and thanks for trying to be good. And have a good morning to all. I would put someone asked me if I changed, but you see, it's not a change. It's actually adherence to what you believe in. So a life in service requires adherence to something that is strong enough for you to deviate from your professional path to give service to your country. And if you are in a vehicle and you are not of the view that the vehicle will allow you to provide that service to your country, and you change vehicle, there's no change in service. There's actually you adhering to your focus in terms of service. Now, you all are in the media, you all follow programming, you all follow the political parties. You all would be also privy because, for example, Senator Paul Richards would be privy to one-on-one conversations with persons, and I'm sure in times in the midst of simple conversation on a bill before the Senate, I'm sure a member may have given them an insight into some of their personal challenges in the organization and let a few slip. What persons get caught up with is the outward appearance that you are required to give. If you are in an organization, especially a political organization responsible for the affairs of a country, it is not your place to be airing your concerns in the public. You basically complain internally and you maintain discipline externally. That is the modus operandi that is expected of you. And the standard for remaining in a vehicle is if you believe that there's an opportunity for you to effect change, notwithstanding your lack of success to date. All right. But if at some point in time you recognize that you will not be successful in the time frame that you feel is necessary, you make decisions. But for persons and members of the public, it would appear sudden because it ought to appear sudden. You are not allowed.
Why do you think, and I'm presuming you're talking here about the party as a whole. Am I wrong or right?
Yes.
The party as a whole, which means the UNC, which you were a part of. Why do you think that party, given a time frame that you've now identified, would not be successful?
So I'll start with one example. 3 years ago, just to give an idea as to what happened. I joined the UNC in 2017, September, when I became a senator. And you know my background. I came directly from NJAC, okay? And NJAC has specific understandings, and there are things that you more or less become a social authority on in your circles, all right? In particular, where it comes to a particular ethnicity, it's obvious. I don't need to say it because I don't want to color the conversation too much, right? So when you come into an organization, and you come into the UNC, you try your best to make persons understand that notwithstanding some persons being compliant or looking the other way when certain things are done or said, all right, I felt it was necessary for me to make things very clear that these things are not to be said, these things are not to be done. After the defeat in 2020, I took it upon myself to be very focused in helping the organization. I floated the idea of an African caucus within the organization. I'm a former head of the African Society at UWI. I'm a former NJAC UTAM leader, okay? So I felt that would have been of value to the organization. Race relations is an important aspect of our society. We live in a society with a rainbow of ethnicities. And therefore, and I'm not talking about the rainbow ethnicities that dwell within Richard Raghubar Singh. He is actually a reflection of Trinidad and Tobago on his own, you know? But not everyone may be as fortunate as him, okay? To be able to be born with that sensibility just by living in his family. He would be moving through the different sensibilities that are required, you know? But many of us live in families that are more or less homogeneous, okay? And we grow up with these sensibilities. When you're in a national organization, statements and messaging about any sector of the society can be damaging to the organization's prospects at good governance. Because perception is important in politics. It is more important than what you think is your reality. Because the person perceiving the organization will make decisions based on them. As they say in politics, we don't care how smart you are if we don't think we like you. Because if we don't think we can identify with you, we will not want to associate with you in governance in any shape or form. So the idea of the African caucus wasn't a popular idea, and it has to do with the organizational structure of the party. It's a flat organizational structure. Dr. Richards, you are familiar with that type of thing. Organizations where it's flat, it's difficult to create other structures because it quickly dwarfs the organization. So in those types of organizations, individuals become institutions. This sounds technical, but it's basically what it basically means is if you have a cause that you feel is necessary for the health of the organization, you need to take it upon yourself to be that person. So I told members, I said, I will provide that service to the party. And
why did you think the party is not capable of winning? Because that's what you're suggesting in the next election. That time would obviously have to be the next election.
Right. So I'm taking a long Michael holding one up. So let me get to the crease then. Right. So in 2020, after the election, there was an article in the Guardian newspaper. Ubika issues race-related correction to a WhatsApp group, and was explaining to them that you can't juxtapose persons of African descent in a negative light, all right, to persons in the West, right? You know, it is about disasters in the West. So they juxtapose youths lying down in sea-lots with youths in a party in the West, right? And the youths who lying down was saying Gary come from that kind of thing, and they say PNM supporters versus PNM finances. That was the juxtaposition. Right? So that is not healthy. But that leaked out because somebody screenshotted and sent it out, right? But I decided afterwards I wouldn't put anything out. I'll call persons then because I don't want people to feel like if I am the person sending leaks out. So since 2020 to now, nothing came out. So persons would have felt that I'm happy and I'm okay. But I have been working every single week explaining to persons wherever there's an issue. When the elections became in view, the local government elections, this thing amped up. And on the 18th of May, after the decision by the 25th of May, it amped up, okay? And on my birthday, the 29th of May, there was a sitting of the House of Representatives for the validation, the Monday 29th of May, the validation of the local government bill. So the party had a meeting with only senators, Senator Leiter, and to his credit, he didn't bring up anything that I felt was uncomfortable. We had Senator Naked, Senator Roberts, and Senator John, as well as the political leader. And those three persons, apart from the political leader, are primarily of African descent. You have someone whose father is an African, and you have persons who are black, basically, right? Julian John and David Naked. And all three of them responded in their speech in some degree to the Prime Minister's statement that he's a black person. But the way in which they chose to deal with the subject, all right, I felt was bad. So, and it was on my birthday when you were thinking about your life and so on. So I issued a statement, internally to persons in the party, including the political leader, that the messaging of the party is becoming bitter and divisive. And it is unhealthy to be targeting people. You may think you're targeting someone on the opposite side, but you are targeting an entire section of the society in a way that is unsavory, all right? And while this person's to us is human, but I am trying to show them where it is wrong. And instead of a course correction, what you got is more of it, and it's getting that fever pitch. That is one aspect of it. And that was, to me, that was unacceptable. This at the same time, I was complaining bitterly for a year, all right? That if you have persons who have, without calling any names, all right, who have stories being spoken about them, about certain matters. You have persons, you have an individual who there's talk of a sworn affidavit of the person engaged in the trafficking of a person who was a minor. So I would not call any names because of course, the legal implications. All right. And then you have this person being promoted in the organization because they hold a senior position and they are a member of the parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. And I am saying I am a son, I'm a son to a mother. I am a husband to a wife, and I'm a father to a daughter. And to me, that was reprehensible. But you have to recognize at the same time, screening has opened. And this individual is one of the main persons involved in screening. And what is one of the questions you ask persons in screening? You ask them, can you indicate one thing that you have done or are currently doing that could cause irreparable harm to the reputation of the party and to the country? Now, I can think of nothing worse than human trafficking. You understand? If there is a sworn affidavit, in the least, we accept that you are innocent until proven guilty. However, in the realm of politics, you have to allow that person time to sort their situation out. Because if it becomes true that what this person did is true, and you had an opportunity to stop them from being part of the governing process, because the opposition is part of the governing process of this country, then you two are at fault.
How would you respond to those who say both major parties have had allegations of persons in the parties doing wrongdoing, and it's only until it gets to the point of charges being laid, or in some instances, a few police investigations being started, official police investigations, that action is taken, and that is, some people may say, true about both major political parties.
So I'll give two examples. You have one individual who was charged, was a member of parliament of the PNM, was not selected for 2020 general elections.
But allegations were swirling before that.
You have, know what I'm saying, I'm giving two examples. That one person was not selected. You have another individual who the sworn affidavit, you ought to have seen it. Hopefully, you hope that you would have seen it. But persons within the party were speaking about it verbatim. Okay? So if you didn't see it, then it is a negligence in some form. But persons in the party who also on the screen committee, they saw it. I need to drink some water. I just woke up and took a call, so I didn't. I had a long night last night. I'm preparing for my MPhil PhD as your good self, Senator Richards, right? So, I mean, you just need to pause after this to take some water.
Sure, but you can have your water.
But there are persons who were speaking of it, and that person was given their seat. In fact, because of those allegations within the organization, the night before screening, he was not offered a seat. The member of parliament who is on bail, $1 million bail, okay? All right? Before that happened, because the charge only happened last year, the issue with the vehicle, it raised its head before the election, he was still given a seat. There are two other members of parliament, one with something in TSTT, all right? Some $3 million and a tendering process that is crazy, was known before the election, was given a seat.
So you are uncomfortable. You are uncomfortable with how the party was handling these significant issues.
Yes, and if you could make such egregious errors in opposition with these individuals, what can happen when you are in government? And if you have persons who have succeeded, or a person who has succeeded in defrauding the state, or is on a charge for defrauding the state, while it's in opposition, he didn't defraud the state in government, and then they charge him when he was in opposition. The transaction and so on has to do when this individual is in opposition. You understand? And then now you are given the seat. You're not saying let you take some cooling off period so you can see what's happening with those charges to see if you are in fact innocent. No, you go through with it.
I mean, so because I understand.
Just to close with this last point, and the old people ever saying, what you see in broad daylight, you don't go and shine flambeau to find in the night. You understand? When I grew up in Point 14, that is what they would tell you. So if I am seeing all these things, you are complaining and complaining and complaining. It's only so much, and these things are regular talk in the organization, mind you. Regular talk in the organization. And
we started off this conversation by you saying that you have certain values that you ascribe to as a person, which guided your decision in moving from one party to the next. And of course, you have a NJAC history, but the NJAC and the PNM have never really been, how should I diplomatically say this? They have not necessarily been bedfellows at all politically over the history of Trinidad and Tobago politics. And being a member or having your genesis in NJAC, why the PNM? Well, is it that you see the PNM as the only alternative for you to have that aligns with your values, because you said it was a value alignment issue? So is it that you're saying that the People's National Movement better aligns with your values, being of NJAC origin, as compared to one of the third parties and or seeking your political welfare elsewhere, wherever that may be.
Right, so the irony in this whole thing is that Dr. Keith Rowley was a foundation member of NJAC. Of course, you have to remember, in 1970, you couldn't have a membership list because that would be a lightning rod for police, right? Because whilst the main speakers may not have been involved in activities, there were activities by other elements in the revolution, other more radical elements in that revolutionary process, all right, that were ascribed to NJAC, even though NJAC didn't commit them. So the irony is he was a foundation member of the organization in terms of a main platform speaker in 1970 before he went to study. And this is a part of historical records, so this is not new information. And even when I met him, I asked him that question, why is it that NJAC never joined? And I guess it's because they when I was being raised, they upheld the view that it was conventional politics or revolution. You know, I do not hold that view, that it ought to be conventional politics or revolution. I have worked my entire life, well, half of my professional life in the public service. And I believe that the only way to get things done is to be involved in a senior management position in the public service. So it's either you rise to the top as a director or higher, permanent secretary, so on, or you come in at the top in a management position. Now, so that is my perspective. So therefore, the question is, you have to be part of a serious vehicle that you believe will be in government so that you can implement some of the policies you want. The course I'm doing this short semester is a policy development. And I'm drawing a parallel with the work that I do, which is you do policy briefs and so on for ministers.
So you didn't think NJAC was a vehicle that could get you in a position to make a serious impact? How do you reconcile? Because you were one of our colleagues in the Senate for a while. The things you've said about the PNM while you were a senator, a UNC senator, talking about your issues with the PNM, being quite pointed in many instances. I won't repeat some of them because they were quite pointed. Mm-hmm. Having major issues with the way the PNM operates or operated. And now saying, well, the PNM is a serious option for governance and you being a part of it to have an impact. How do you reconcile your positions then and your position now, singing praises to the PNM as the vehicle which
goes back to the alignment of values question, which is
how do you reconcile that?
All right, so let me answer that question. I hold the view that it's a human organization. And if I hold such strong convictions and I'm seeing what I feel can be improved in the organization, then I may even be the best person to put my shoulder to the wheel within the organization to effect that change. You understand? It is the same approach I took when I went in the UNC, but I didn't succeed in that regard.
And what's going to be the difference now? Because you're a newcomer in an organization that you have chastised vehemently for many years since joining active politics. You are starting, I don't know, maybe at the bottom of the rank, and intend to impact changes in some very serious issues that you've raised in the past few years.
Let's say one issue. First of all, people who cross party lines seldom start off at the bottom. They're seen as attractive for the purposes because they're crossed.
Well, I don't know that
historically. Let's just talk about historical.
I don't know that I'm starting off at the top. You know, so the bottom line is, for me, I am basically serving, right? And I'm serving in communities that I am already known. To people who I already have a personal relationship with. It just so happened that they've always been PNM. You understand? So from that perspective, it is not as if I'm moving from Trinidad to Grenada or Trinidad to Guyana. I am basically serving in the same communities with the same people. It is a question of where I am needed. I've already started serving. You understand? Now, the things that are important to me would be coming from NJAC, would be sharing the cake in a manner that where there's equity and there's fairness. You know, in NJAC there was a saying: the people don't want the crumbs, they want the cake. You understand? So sharing the pie, the population. But the process of sharing the pie, for example, I'm taking one specific, very narrow example, right? I had a long conversation. I finished in my panyard in Marbella after midnight last night, having this conversation because the band leader was trying to understand how his members can be involved in wealth creation. So there's a project that I'm working with there with the band, which is forming a cooperative so that we can purchase land. And there's a project I started since last year, February. But you know, in people and organizations, things don't move that fast. You have to get people along the way. We're doing the training program at the bylaws level. And this is something I'm doing for free, as we say in Trinidad, from the goodness of my heart, right? It's a lifelong project for me. So that the members of the band can now pool our resources, purchase land, and then divide up into agricultural and residential and commercial plots. Even at February, even whilst I was a UNC senator, all right, I worked in the cooperatives division, and they reached out to me saying that there's a group of young people, 200 of them, in the Youth Agriculture Homestead Program of the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. And I saw these young people. To me, I felt a generational gap because I was 39 in February, and these people, I'm almost 40, and these young people are just over 20, and they're doing the agriculture program in ECIAF. And I said, this is a beautiful program. They took the Chatham Youth Facility down in Southwest Trinidad after Point Fortin, and it's a Chatham Youth Facility, Chatham Dairy Farm. Is a dairy farm that's been long out of commission. And the government has been trying many years to bring it up when I was a cooperative officer. And they're getting 2-acre plots, they're getting a house, and they're getting start funding to do the agricultural project. And what they're doing is pooling themselves into a cooperative, and they came to me to help form them so that they can have a management team so that maybe you can organize tractors and other things when they get ready. And I said, this is a wonderful program by the government, and you all should count yourselves lucky. And this is whilst I was chief economist for the UNC with the opposition. All right. So I said, okay, this is beautiful. Now, I just hope that nobody taped me at that time because they will see, look, I'm being indisciplined, because the challenge in Trinidad and Tobago is they expect a certain level of critique from the opposition, and that was a program I couldn't really critique. Now, the thing with that program is it's wonderful. It helps create wealth. So I had a conversation with the MP for Point Fortin yesterday, and one of the things we discussed is creating jobs in Point Fortin. And there's a tech facility. I said, well, a simple thing we can do is we can inquire from the Minister of Trade if there are any vacant leases, and if they can do what they did in Moruga, build a factory shell and have businesses use that to make batch processing, but not agro processing as in Moruga.
I appreciate the discourse on that, but we have a very short time. Did you approach the PNM, or did the PNM approach you?
I approached the PNM.
So you made your mind to leave the UNC and you approached the PNM. What was their response to your overtures?
They were very welcoming. Because if you are in the party now, in the private conversations, not everybody will do like the persons who have left before and express their concerns. Dr. Fuad Khan, or not who have left, who are not part of the process right now. You understand? I don't want to call their names because that's not where it is. I know Dr. Furkan is a man who has a public image, so I can call his name, right? But many of them who have left, you in the media, you know. But what you are not privy to are the persons who are inside, all right, who are required to maintain discipline, and who are saying, and this is what this one is instructive. Persons are saying that they don't even want the party to get into government with some of the characters that are holding office in the lower house.
You're suggesting a fragmented party, is that true?
I wouldn't say a fragmented party. I would say a party that is basically waiting to write its course. But we're not sure when that course will be corrected to be righted in the first place.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
The party at this time is not comprised in a manner, the persons at the leadership, where you can have serious discussion on issues of national importance. All right? Your colleague in the Senate, for the opposition, former national footballer, said not to call his name. So I shall not call his name. All right? I mentioned his profession. Then you have other colleagues that in the lower house as well, that when you consider what is their focus at this time, persons are saying they simply don't want to even see them in government. And if you're part of a vehicle and you want to effect change, and you're not convinced, and the persons on the train are not convinced that they even want that team to be in government.
But you're saying that, but I'm sure I can get scores of people who are members of the United National Congress who want to see the party in government. So that's a toss-up debate. You're saying you're not persons who don't want them in government, but I'm sure there are many persons, possibly the majority, because people aligned to a party to be governing the country.
But they are not in the engine room. They are not in the high-level strategic decision.
You are suggesting
they are not
that most of the persons in the engine room don't want the party to get into power? How does that make sense?
I'm saying the persons who I look to in that organization as persons who are serious don't look at the team and say, in fact, when they look at the team, they say they really don't want this bunch of people to get in government. I'm serious. That is the reality, but the problem is they will not be able to say that. So the only way you can get an idea from that is by speaking yourself to other persons who are not part of the process, but who you believe are upheld by the society as serious persons in terms of governance, former ministers who are not part of this team right now. But you see, what they will say is I saw grapes, but the persons on the inside will agree. The persons who are serious will agree with them, but they are not. Of course, the discipline is this. If you're in an organization, you disagree, you try to fix it. But when you reach a critical point where you know that you can't do no more, you are required to leave because you will stay in and you will.
Since your resignation from the party, there are several questions that have swirled. The normal questions will swirl when somebody with your stature and position leaves. That you clarified first earlier that you approached the PNM and they were open arms and accepted you. Is there any promise of a position? A couple of questions. Are there any inducements? That sort of stuff. Just to clarify for the public record.
No promise of any position. No inducements. I was a free agent. I wasn't I wasn't contracted in the transfer window of the Premier League.
What is your political end game, though, in terms of aligning yourself with the People's National Movement? Is it that your end goal is to be a minister where you, because those are the positions that influence the most? Is that your end goal? Or is your end goal only local government? What is your end goal? You have to have an end goal.
So my end goal is definitely not local government. Okay, my focus is on policy development. So if you understand, I have not been in the organization a week, but I'm having a conversation with the minister responsible for E-Tech Parks about small wins that can create jobs in Lebre, in Point Fortin. Same modeling what they have done in Moruga, right? Because I met a small processor that is based in Port of Spain who produced batch process some items in Moruga, creating some employment there, and then they're distributing the items throughout the country. And that model could be used, but using a different industry, maybe the fashion industry. But of course,
You're giving me examples, but you're giving me examples.
You asked me what is my end game, so I'm saying my end game.
What is your end goal in terms
right, so my end goal is
where you're placing yourself in the politics.
When you are in an organization, right? You don't need to be okay. For example, you're in a newsroom. You don't need to be in front of the camera to affect how the news is delivered. You could be a producer, you could be a director, you could even be just someone who is there, who is capable, and who is rendering service above their station in the organization.
Yeah, but so I may have a goal that I want to be managing director.
No,
I think that could be my eventual goal in terms of my ambition, in terms of my career. So what's
so basically the difference with politics? The difference with politics and a profession. All right, I have a goal for my profession. You understand? As an economist, that's why I'm doing my PhD right now. But as a person in public service, my goal is to effect the things that I want to see. So I'm telling you, all right, the ink has not dried on me signing the registration form yet, and I'm already speaking to persons. Yesterday, the conversation I had with a band leader in Marabella is a steel pan development project that we want to look at sending through Pantrinbago so that other bands in the country can benefit by creating jobs in situ, on site.
What Richard is asking is that you're a trained economist. You're a trained economist en route to completing your PhD. I have no doubt that you will do that, because I've always found you a very intelligent person, very knowledgeable person in the field of economics. Your tone needed to change a little bit sometime, but that's just a personal preference. You know, but
I can't change my enthusiasm. That's the challenge. But as I get older, I understand how to take things down a notch. Okay.
Yeah.
Because people need to be able to hear you.
Based on your skill set and experience, where do you see yourself? I'm not talking nebulously here, because that's what Richard's trying to get at you. Where do you see yourself in the matrix of the PNM, which is a very, very disciplined party? From what I have seen, the PNM don't take people like people going out and talking out of turn and discussing issues they have externally when they should be doing internally. The PNM is a very disciplined party like that. Where do you see yourself in 3 years in the People's National Movement? In what specific position, if any at all?
When I was in NJAC, I didn't chase position. Whilst I was in the UNC, I didn't chase position. In the PNM, I will not chase position. I will focus on serving. The importance for me is being able to serve. I do not care for position. It has never formed part of my focus. You understand? Because
some of the verbal onslaughts have already started. Are you surprised, and do you expect more?
Well, I want to say this to persons, and let me just say this because I didn't see it at the beginning of the interview. To all persons who may have followed me and may have felt, because politics is something that persons invest heavily in and they're very emotional about. So I want to apologize to persons who are members of the People's National Movement, supporters of the party, who may have been hard done by some of the things I may have said. Camille Robinson Regis, Stuart Young, I believe I am someone who believes that being able to recognize where you may have erred or you may have impacted on someone negatively, to apologize as a first step. I always believe in an unconditional apology. All right. So I unconditionally apologize, and I am prepared to demonstrate that I have seen the error of my approach. Now, the reality is this: if you are in an organization and someone is chasing a position, it is not a healthy thing to do. What they should be chasing is the development of your organization. You are in a media organization. If somebody comes in there chasing a position, they will, and working agendas to get that position. It doesn't help with the health and the environment in the organization, and it doesn't help the organization to grow. All you should be doing is sharpening your skills, as you see in the culture industry, working on your craft and bringing it to bear to the benefit of the organization. That is all that I intend to do. Nothing more, nothing less.
And what's your message to your colleagues you have left in the UNC and the UNC membership who may have supported you during your tenure with the United National Congress?
Our electoral system and our governance system requires strong political vehicles. Iron sharpens iron. Okay? And therefore, so there are negatives to adversarial politics, but there are positives. One positive is iron sharpens iron. And therefore, if they look at the criticisms that I have leveled, which I believe are evidence-based, I don't play in insults. I would hope not to. All right? Evidence-based criticisms. They will do some introspection. All right. However, yesterday on the platform, I heard someone refer to me, draw a reference to me, a parallel to me as pinning the balisé tie on my jacket. Remind them of pinning the tail on a donkey. You understand? And that is not the direction for politics. And that is the same thing that I told them. You cannot be in this century or the last century or any other century, describe a human being as you would describe and depict an animal. You know? And I don't feel any way about it because I know this will happen because this is the thing I was telling them you must not do. You ought not do. So, but it means that they haven't listened because last week, Monday, understand? I was mentioned by the political leader as a brilliant economist, understand? And former senator. But this Monday, I am drawn reference to as a donkey. You understand? That is the only reference that speaker could have brought up. And when that happened, the crowd cheered. The crowd cheered. I will no feelings because I knew that this is the same thing that I was speaking to them about. It is not healthy in the politics of a country. All right. So a simple thing. I think that I want to say this, and I think I need to say this. One of the persons in the party is of Caucasian descent, right? And he explained to me something that I didn't understand. He said, when persons in the party say 1%, it hurts him. Because in his community, that feels, it's like a slur. And it feels like an attack on them, you know? And I say, well, why don't you say these things? Because your Senate colleagues say it a lot. You know that, Senator Richards, you know? So in the political process, you must consider all aspects of our society. Every demographic must be considered. Even if we feel strongly against or for, you have to consider them and balance their fears. Because it may not be a concern, you may feel it's just a simple would be 1%, but it has now become something that is causing fear, you know?
So, well, we are out of time. Tahaka Obika, thank you for being with us. We appreciate your time. And wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Yes, thank you.
All the best to you.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital, Mr. Tahaka Obika. All right. Evie has been in. She's been sitting here, twiddling her thumbs, playing a game on her phone.
Well, we getting news for her, so she can't complain.
Yeah. That's what the other hairy one in the newsroom is doing right now. Put it together one time. Yeah, that's what he's doing. All right, let's get into our news brief. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Taco Bika has suggested that his decision to leave the UNC was based on several things, including a disagreement over the establishment of an African caucus within the party and the party's willingness to allow persons who are facing criminal investigations to continue to hold office. The former UNC senator last week resigned his position within the party and switched sides to become a PNM member. Speaking on Power 102 Digital's Power Breakfast show this morning, he said that his discontent began in 2020 over a race-related issue regarding a comparison between youths arrested in Sealots and youths found partying in West Moorings during the COVID lockdown. He said it came to a head last month when the UNC senators, during a debate in the Senate, responded to a comment on race made by Dr. Rowley.